Vita Vea is obviously a big piece of that interior of the Bucs D-line. Clay Kensey didn't play last time out. What kind of player is he, and how does that affect kind of the way that you guys go about run game and also rushing the passer?
Yeah, incredibly disruptive. You mentioned we didn't face him last time, but you watched him the previous year, really came on and has done the same throughout this season. Continues to get better, impacts the game in a bunch of ways, run game, pass game, and high motor, one of the more disruptive interior players we played against.
Kliff, just to get it out of the way, obviously there's been talk about teams reaching out to you for interviews. What's your stance right now about? I know you can't talk right this now, but where are you at right now with that situation?
Yeah, I haven't had any discussions. Coaches, we pay representation to handle all that, and so they've handled all that. It's just been all Tampa Bay.
As far as Jayden, obviously this is another new experience for him. What do you, beyond the X's and O's and the game plan, what do you do anything else for him this week to help him understand why there's a difference between the regular season and the playoffs?
No, he's done a great job of week in, week out, just say, what did we do good last game, what do we need to work on, and really attacking those areas. And so we've kept that same plan. He's a guy who likes competition, likes big moments, and so nothing has changed as far as preparation goes.
What's the biggest growth in his game since that first meeting?
Everything, really. I think just understanding the system. The first game we didn't know what we were or who we were, what he was, and so even me calling plays and understanding how to put him in better situations to be successful, and all the skill guys. How do we use this guy? So we've evolved a bunch, but I think you just watch his game and the way he played that first game. I mean, the very first pass he threw for like -20, like a backwards pass. And he's just come a long way. So it's a lot of hard work, a lot of mental reps, and so I'm anxious to see the second time around, how far we've come as an entire unit.
Is there a moment for you with him that stands out, whether it's a throw or anything like that, more than others for him?
Yeah, I think the biggest one was the Cincy game for me. It's like crunch time. It's that last, third or fourth down maybe, and I screwed up the play call, and so he just waves me off like I got it, and he throws a touchdown to Terry. It's like, all right, you got it, dog. So I think it was more like that's where it's like, okay, he's very comfortable in the system, understanding what we're trying to accomplish, and in those moments he wants the ball in his hands, and as a play caller, that's what you hope for at that position.
What have you seen from him just in his ability to compartmentalize and focus on what he needs to now and other stuff when he needs to?
Yeah, I think that's probably one of his strongest traits, is that he can process it really quickly and be on to the next play. He's not leering on himself. He wants to be perfect. He wants to play great. He wants to win every rep. But once the play is over, he's on to the next one really quickly, and that's not easy to do as a young player or an established player even in this league, because you're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to have plays you wish you had back, but he can process it, move on. He can take hard coaching, and nobody's harder on themselves than him immediately after. And he's one of those guys that will give you the proper feedback as soon as you get to him. Hey, I should have done this, should have done that. And so it really makes it, my job a lot easier when he's already kind of self-diagnosed what's going on the play.
Blau mentioned how, his first practice, rookie minicamp, he was 7-on-7. He completed everything, but he was also willing to take the checkdowns.
Right.
He wasn't trying to hit home runs on everyone. Did that surprise you at all as a rookie coming in?
It did, yeah. The guy that, when he had that Hail Mary and they did that video where he's like, we got us one, I felt like that guy after the first 7-on-7 session, because it was just next level kind of operation, finding the checkdowns, not forcing things for a young player to come in, and you could tell he studied it like crazy over the little break we had. So that was the first. We all kind of looked at each other like, "Wow, that was really good." And so I think we knew then that we had a chance to have a special player, and just then getting to see the humility, the hard work, all the things he's put into it, it just has evolved since then.
What percentage of the time is he making the right football play?
That's a great question. A high percentage, I would say. The one thing that's shown up, I think, the last few, I would say probably the last month, when we've had to put the ball in his hands more because the run game hasn't been there. We played good teams that are good against the run, but I'd say just the negative plays, like the first, second down sacks, the sack number in general has gone up, and some of that's he's trying to take over and make the play. But I think for the most part, if you put those out, he's going to the right place for the ball the majority of the time.
What was your biggest lesson coming out of that first Tampa Bay game about like figuring out who you guys were?
Yeah, we needed to play with more tempo, more rhythm. We were doing a bunch of substituting and really slowing the game down, thinking that would help him, and I think it hurt us as a unit. You know, we played better with more rhythm and pace, and him getting on the ball and being able to have more time on the play clock to analyze and see what the defense is doing. And we really subbed a bunch. We played in some sets that were not as probably dynamic or having our best 4 or 5 skill players on the field at the same time. And I thought the coaching staff did a nice job of recognizing that and adjusting that moving forward.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. In week 1, Terry had 2 catches, 10 yards. How much of that was due to kind of the newness of everything, not just Jayden? I think you described it as kind of in survival mode after that game between week 2. How much of that was because of the newness, and how much of that was maybe what the Bucs were doing? Yeah,
I think we definitely did not have a good enough plan to get him the ball. And then Todd Bowles is a good defensive coach, so I don't, having watched the game, it's hard to even watch because it's so different than what we are now. But he recognizes that's one of the best players in the league, and so he's going to do everything to take him away. And then I do a better job calling plays, and I think Jayden has evolved to a point now where when we have an opportunity to get Terry the ball, he's going to take advantage of it.
And then speaking of that Todd Bowles defense, as Super Bowl teams tend to have, they've lost some players from that Super Bowl defense, but they've kind of since come back. Jordan Whitehead, Mike Edwards, Shaq Barrett specifically. I know Jordan's not going to be playing, but looking at Mike and Shaq and some of those other guys from that Super Bowl squad, how do you dive into any of that older tape to kind of look for some tendencies, or do you stick to more recent?
More recent. He's done a great job evolving his defense. I think that's what I've been most impressed by with Coach Bowles is it's cyclical in this league, and they'll catch up to you as you go if you just do the same stuff. And he's done a great job evolving year in, year out, adapting to his personnel, and continue to stay kind of on the cutting edge of the pressures and being able to disrupt offenses throughout his career.
Hey, Coach. Hi. Tampa Bay's defense is the second highest blitzing defense. They've got all kind of – they aggressively come at you. Could you talk a little bit about how you all counter that and some key things that you all have to do,
Yeah, I think he's great at the pressures, knowing when to dial him up and call him. It's not just third down. Like, he has a great feel for your tendencies, what you've done throughout the season, and when to bring those pressures. And so I have to be great on my sequencing and play calling, and then just give Jayden answers for those pressures. Like, we got to be able to get the ball out of our hand. We can't take those first and second down sacks, and that's the biggest deal to me is making sure he has an outlet on every play. That they're going to bring the pressure, hey, let's get a completion, try to make a guy miss in space, and we'll play the next play. But if you don't have answers, he'll make it a long day for you.
And we talked to the players about being in the playoffs. Some of them are there for the first time. But could you talk a little bit about yourself, about being back in the playoffs and how exciting that is for you?
It is. It's very exciting. It's hard to get here. I think that's what these young players need to understand is that there's a lot of veterans that have played 10, 12 years. It's like the second time they've even got in. And we got in the 1 year in Arizona, and it was not a great game, but it was a lot of work to get there. And so I think just being in the moment, understanding how fortunate we are to be in this position, and we won the last 4 games on the last play, and it can go like that in this league. So we got to make sure we appreciate and take advantage of the opportunity.
I know the focus is on Tampa, but as a quick follow to what Sandy guys, do you plan to take interviews for head coaching jobs?
I'm not going to touch on that. Yeah, just focusing on Tampa.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.